Palisades Fire grows to 17,000 acres, the most destructive in LA history. More gusty winds were forecast for Thursday as fire crews struggled to gain containment on the 17,000-acre Palisades Fire, the most destructive wildfire in Los Angeles history. Authorities believe at least 1,000 structures, many of them homes, have been destroyed by fire, which first erupted Tuesday amid hurricane force. Dry Santa Ana winds in the area of North Piedra Morada Drive. It quickly swept through residential and commercial districts in this affluent coastal community, prompting tens of thousands of people to flee. Thursday morning, the fire was mapped at 17,234 acres with no containment. The cause remained under investigation. More than 800 firefighting personnel, with the help of fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters, are battling the blaze. However, the same winds that fueled the fire have limited the use of aerial resources. Extreme fire behavior, including short and long-range spotting, continues to challenge firefighting efforts for the Palisades Fire, CAL FIRE said in a bulletin. Winds gusts up to 60 miles per hour are expected to continue through Thursday, potentially aiding in further fire activity and suppression efforts. The evacuation order extended throughout the Pacific Palisades to the Pacific Ocean and included areas of Santa Monica, Malibu, and Topanga. Residents and businesses in Calabasas remained under an evacuation warning on Thursday. With 1,000 structures destroyed, the Palisades Fire is already far more destructive than the second most destructive wildfire in Los Angeles history. According to statistics from the Wildfire Alliance, the Associated Press reported, damage is believed to be in the tens of billions of dollars. The last most destructive fire was the Sayre Fire in November 2008, which destroyed 604 structures in Sylmar. The Palisades Fire was one of several large wildfires that have forced evacuations in the Los Angeles area this week. The Eden Fire has claimed 5 lives and destroyed a still undetermined number of homes in the areas of Altadena and Pasadena. Also, thousands of residents fled their homes Wednesday evening when a fast-moving brush fire erupted in the Hollywood Hills. The Sunset Fire charred around 40 acres before crews gained the upper hand and lifted most evacuation orders around midnight. Firefighters make big gains battling Sunset Fire, which forced evacuations in Hollywood. Los Angeles firefighters have made big gains in battling the Sunset Fire, which had triggered mandatory evacuation orders in Hollywood and the Hollywood Hills late Wednesday. It's a miracle that no homes burned here, one firefighter told the Times. Hours earlier, the flames had approached the mansions that line North Curson Avenue. By 10:30 p.m., flames were barely visible on the distant hillside. "These are really nice houses up here," one fireman said to another as they watched a helicopter fly by to drop water. Firefighters on scene said the fire had been 50 acres at its peak and was now down to 42.3 in retreat. The blaze, for a short while, raised alarms throughout Hollywood. A mandatory evacuation order was issued around 5:30 p.m. for areas north of Hollywood Boulevard and south of Mulholland Drive, and east of Laurel Canyon Boulevard and west of the 101 freeway. The fire was reported at 2350 North Solar Drive in the Hollywood Hills. The evacuation encompassed iconic locations such as the TCL Chinese Theater, the Hollywood Pantages Theater, the Dolby Theater, and Ovation Hollywood, the shopping center in Hollywood. Earlier Wednesday, David Potts, 66, stood on his front porch just a few hundred yards from the active fire, a fire truck parked directly opposite him. Just up the hill, the crackle of flames punctuated the low hum of engines and flowing water. Every 7 minutes or so, another helicopter came by and dropped water that sprinkled over the neighborhood. He stopped to see if the water had extinguished a burning tree he could see from his perch. His home of 11 years sits next to Runyon Canyon. Around 4:30 p.m., he saw a nearby fire on the news and stepped outside to a thick smell of smoke. He could see the flames just a few hundred yards up the hill, with one property between him and the blaze. When the mandatory evacuation notice came shortly thereafter, his wife, daughter, and son-in-law quickly packed and left. It took them 2 hours amid the chaos to drive to Glendale, but David stayed and got out his hose. A friend lost his house this morning in Altadena, and I figured I would stay until the last minute," he said. He packed up his truck with essentials and started spraying his house and yard. For a while, no help arrived. "Right as I was about to throw in the towel, 2 helicopters came," he said. They dropped water, and he saw a white cloud of steam that sent embers flying everywhere. He kept hosing. I could see progress from the helicopters. "Potts knows his neighbors well," he said, and all left except for him. It fell to him to text them updates while he scrambled to find a mask, get his ladder, and continuously spray everything he could reach. Later on Wednesday, at the base of Curson Avenue, a snaking street that climbs from Franklin Boulevard into the hills adjacent to Runyon Canyon, some 50 people stood at the police line, some wearing masks and most wielding smartphones to capture the firefight. At one point, the hillside was lightly glowing. Firefighters and residents alike credited the efficient water dropping for stemming the blaze. The nearby Hollywood Reservoir allowed for frequent trips, a firefighter said. By 10:30 p.m., the water drops were happening around every 10 minutes. A Times reporter could feel the drizzle of water from the water drops as the last remnants of fire could be seen from his location. Up the hill, some firefighters stood watch as others walked hundreds of yards above with chainsaws and garden tools, cutting a fire line near the peak of Runyon Canyon. Their flashlights swung left to right as around a dozen men walked single file across the hilltop. Most of the mandatory evacuation orders for the area were lifted except for a few city blocks, affecting areas north of Franklin Avenue, west of Camino Palmero Street, and east of Sierra Bonita Avenue. Firefighters wanted the area to stay under evacuation orders to ensure vegetation in the area does not flare up. Citing improving conditions on the ground, the Los Angeles Fire Department is expected to lift all evacuation orders for the fire by 7:30 a.m. Thursday. Firefighters will remain in the area, and LAFD advises residents to be careful while returning to your homes.